Hello friends, welcome back. Today we'll be talking about the Revolt of 1857. Now, the Revolt of 1857, some call it the Revolt, some call it Sepoy Mutiny, some call it the First War of Independence. Now, irrespective of whatever it is called, one thing that should be remembered and is very important is that 1857, the Sepoy Mutiny or the Revolt of 1857 or the First War of Independence 1857 was a watershed mark in India's history. This was the particular period, this is a particular event in India's history that totally changed, if not totally, but it definitely changed the river flowing of the Indian political and economic sphere that was happening under the British East India Company. Now, every revolt, in 1789 with the French Revolution, then we had 1917 Russian Revolution, 1949 Chinese Revolution, 1783 86 American Revolution. So every major democracy or modern nation state has gone through a watershed moment in their history so as to emerge out as a country, as a nation, as a bonding. That was what happened in India in 1857. Of course, there will be many writers, there will be many philosophers who don't consider it to be a revolution. Some consider it to be mutiny. Moreover, the supporters of the British East India Company called it a mutiny, but it's sepoys. Sepoys were the armies or the soldiers of the British East India Company's Indian Army regiments. And nationalists like Veer Savarkar used to call it the First War of Independence. So there is always this eternal clash, whether it was a revolt or was a Sepoy mutiny or was it the First War of Independence, whether it was a panda movement or was it a localized movement. We will discuss about this in details in the following class. So, moving ahead. So, why the revolt? Q. What are the causes? What are the factors? There must have been a cause, there must have been a factor because of which this revolt happened. It's not like 1857 हो गया और revolt start हो गया. No. The revolt was started in Meerut. We all have heard about Meerut. It is in UP. And what we all have definitely heard of is Mangal Pandey. Mangal Pandey was a soldier in the British Army, and he was stationed in Meerut. So there was a whole lot of story regarding the arms, regarding this arms, firing of a rifle and not listening to the commandant, and all this thing happened. This story is not really necessary for us. UPSC never asked what is the story behind the Mangal Pandey. No. We just need to know the timeline. कि कहाँ से शुरू हुआ था. So it is around in and around May 1857. Mangal Pandey, a soldier in the British Army, revolted in Meerut and then took his companions and marched to Delhi. Once they reached Delhi, they asked Bahadur Shah Zafar II. They asked Bahadur Shah Zafar II because Bahadur Shah Zafar was a Mughal, was a crown prince. Actually, he was a crown prince. So, at this moment when you need to unite the country, the last thing that united the country was Mughal. So they knew that the Mughal had this insignia in India. The Mughal to some extent represented India that they knew before the British arrived. So the only resort, because the Marathas were already disseminated, The Peshwa was living in Kanpur on pension. So, and Mughal, the term Mughal had this congruence with the Indian culture and the Indian subcontinent, and it had the ability to unite the entire India. So, the Mangal Pandey and his followers, they come from Meerut, they goes into Delhi, and they ask Bahadur Zafar II to become the once again to become the emperor of India, and unwillingly, remember, unwillingly, Bahadur Zafar II accepts it, and he becomes it, and then they starts up a provisional government in and around Delhi. So this is just how the revolt started. It started from Meerut, then it came to Delhi, and then it spread to various other Meerut to Delhi. Here they forms a provisional government. From Delhi, they marches to Kanpur, Lucknow, Bareilly, Jhansi, and various other places. And here, every places, the ruler or the ex-ruler or some leaders from this region or a general from this region took up arms against the British East India Company, and slowly and steadily it started to engulf the northern part of India, the part of India from, you can say, from UP, Delhi, and to some extent Bihar and Bengal, but not completely. So Karan kya tha? What was the reason? There were many reasons actually, many reasons for it. So we'll look after the regions. UPSC will ask questions. A timeline, they will never ask this timeline. कौन आया, कौन कहाँ से कैसे आया, कहाँ गया? They will never ask these things. They will ask the factors, what are the impacts of the revolt. So let's look into the factors and the causes. Now, see, if someone is going to revolt, there has to be some reason for the revolt. Now we will talk about the factors. Now, to start with, the first factor was the economic exploitation. The economic exploitation, one of the most important reasons for the revolt of 1857 was economic exploitation of its traditional economic structure. India had a self-sufficient village economy structure, which again and again was being emphasized by Gandhiji when he said that we should go for a Panchayati Raj system and bring up the glory from the villages. So traditional economic structure was being dismantled. We have already talked in the previous class how the land revenue system has changed the cropping pattern from the subsistence farming to the commercialization of crops. The cash crops came in, took the bigger role. The British economic and the traditional policies made the life of the Indian people miserable, and they took part in the revolt. खाने को खाना नहीं है, and moreover the taxes were very heavy. So we see it like the taxes, cash crops. These are some of the reasons why the people did not like it. Second, and very important, was extreme corruption. Now look at the words. I'm saying corruption, I'm saying extreme corruption. Corruption to आज भी है, लेकिन they had, what these people faced was extreme corruption. Extreme corruption कहाँ था? The lower level of the British administration. First there was lower level of British administration, and then they had it in the police. And the very important thing was that the administration में पूरा घोटाला है. Police पैसा, police को आज भी, and thing is the law courts were corrupt to the extreme. अब जाओगे किसके पास? Law courts. These were corrupt. because ज़्यादातर law courts में या तो यूरोपियन बैठे थे. And this आज भी we see the तारीख, like the Sunny Deol used to say तारीख पे तारीख, and this is what happens in Indian judiciary. The complexity. It is said that the Indian Constitution is an advocate's paradise. इतने सारे loopholes, इतने सारे clauses, दुनिया भर के clauses भरे हुए हैं. The complex judicial process enabled the rich to exploit the poor even back then. So the poor were not happy, definitely. Third reason for it. Policy of exclusion. What is this policy of exclusion? Policy of exclusion is that what is today happening in US? We are seeing a clash between the blacks and the whites. Not whites, a clash between blacks and whites versus whites kind of thing. So policy of exclusion. When the Britishers came to India, they had that tendency, the white man's burden. They thought of the brown skinned people as inferior. They did not mingle with these brown skinned people. And as a result of what happened was that the nobles, the rich merchants, the nobles, the kings, the princes that were having a very luxurious and privileged life and prioritized life in the Indian culture did not get the priority as they used to get. And suddenly this priority vanished, it vaporized. This was the policy of exclusion. कहीं कुछ meeting हो रहा है, कहीं they are having, suppose the Britishers were throwing a party, this middle class, upper middle class and the upper class people, the intelligentsia and nobles and the crown princes were not being invited by the Britishers, the petty British clerical staff were also not. और यही चीज़ इनको अच्छा नहीं लगा. मतलब इतने सालों से जब एंजॉय कर रहे थे, मतलब मालिक, राजा, महाराजा, प्रिंस सब सारे आलिशान से थे, जहाँ से जाते गुजरते थे लोग बाव डाउन करके जी हजूर करते थे. और आज ऐसा टाइम आ गया कि एक पैटी जो क्लर्कल स्टाफ है ब्रिटिश ईस्ट कंपनी में, वो भी प्रिंस और इसको मान ही नहीं रहे. कोई दर्जा ही नहीं इनका, कोई औकात नहीं है इनके सामने. दिस इज द पॉलिसी ऑफ एक्सक्लूशन. सो प्रिंस एंड लैंडलॉर्ड्स वेयर एंग्री कि भाई हमें तो इज्जत दो, हमारे गरीब इंडियन को मत दो, फार्मर को मत दो, हमें इज्जत दो, हम रईसी है. एंड देन पॉलिसी एक्सक्लूशन में कौन नहीं? मिडिल एंड अपर क्लास were affected. And then perpetual foreigners. Perpetual का मतलब होता है forever. Forever foreigners. मतलब what does it mean actually is that over time it has been seen that India is a crucible of civilization. एक के बाद दूसरा civilization इंडिया में आए, बाहर से लोग आए, कभी इन्वेडर्स आए, कभी टूरिस्ट आए, कभी ट्रेवलर्स आए, हर कोई आए और सभी ने इंडियन कल्चर को अपना लिया. The Indian culture became a celebration of its own. Many things came, many languages evolved many languages. Urdu is one of the prime example of it. The Mughals came, they made India their motherland, and they ruled India and they walked in India as their motherland. But this was not a thing with the Britishers. From the day they came in till the day they were chased away from India in 1947 by the Danda of Gandhiji, they were always the foreigners. Apart from a few, like A.O. Hume, Alan Octavian Hume, the person who was behind the formation of Indian National Congress in 1885, or we have Annie Besant, the young lady, the Irish lady who started the Home Rule movement in 1916. She happened to be, later on, the president of the Indian National Congress. or we have the persons who started the Theosophical Society of India in 1875, H.P. Blavatsky. So H.S. Steele. So there are certain people, a fair few people who came and got mixed up with the Indians, but the majority of the British people, they did not get mixed up with the Indians, and they remained perpetual foreigners forever. They did not like to be a part of India, and this hurt the feelings of the Indians, because Indians over the time has mixed up. Moreover, moving on, the fifth point, annexation. We had already seen how these Britishers had annexed. They started annexing with Karnataka area, then they annexed Hyderabad under subsidiary alliance. They annexed Hyderabad, they annexed Mysore, Tanjore, and then they annexed Bengal, they annexed Awadh, and they went on an annexing spree. They had a Treaty of Sargoli. Of course, the Treaty of Sargoli, I'll be making separate video on Treaty of Sargoli because of this recent Indo-Nepal incident. We'll be dealing with it, Sargoli Treaty altogether. Anyway, then they annexed Sindh, they annexed Punjab, they went to areas of Afghanistan. So annexation was something that the British India Company was uncontrollable, and this annexation saw its peak during the time of Lord Dalhousie. His period was from 1848 to 56, and this is the man who though brought in various changes in the Indian societal system, but yet when it comes to annexation, he lost all sorts of moral obligations. In fact, one of the most important annexation during this period was the annexation of Awadh in 1856, which under Wazir Shah. And this was the reason that was given was that misadministration. It was said that Wazir Shah was busy playing chess as his people were suffering. That is why Lord Dalhousie goes and annexes Awadh. The thing is that the majority of the army serving in the British army were from Awadh and Bengal, and you should not be making and giving on to their fury, because don't want it to once you are going. Suppose this is what happens. You are from a particular state and you're serving a particular company, and if that company goes on a destruction spree in your state, obviously you will not like that state and you turn to revolt against the state. And this is one of the major reasons for this. Another reason was the treatment of the Christian missionaries. Another reason was the treatment of Christian missionaries towards the Indian culture, Christian missionaries. Now, the Christian missionaries propagated a narrative as if the Indian culture, the Indian religions, be it the Hinduism, the Muslim, Islam, the Buddhism, the Jainism, they propagated a style, they propagated the traditions and customs followed by these various religious people were obnoxious. This is not rational at all. Of course, there was some that was not rational, like sati was not rational, but not everything was irrational. These are the customs and traditions that have been followed by people for many centuries and millennia, and suddenly the Christian missionaries were making a human crying scenario, and people did not like it even back then. And then the Britishers introduced the Religious Disabilities Act. (1850). Now this Religious Disability Act what it did was that if anyone converts to Christianity, he or she could inherit their parents' property. इसका मतलब ये है कि आपने अगर क्रिश्चियन धर्म ले लिया, फिर भी आपका जो फैमिली का जो इनहेरिटेंस है, ज़मीन है, जायदाद है, ये आपको मिलेंगे. And this is what would push the people to convert to Christianity. कोई अगर चाह रहा है क्रिश्चियनिटी कन्वर्ट होने के लिए, डर रहा कि नहीं मैं ज़मीन ज़्यादा चला जाएगा, तो दिस वुड बी ए पुश फॉर दैम. ये नहीं, ऐसा कुछ नहीं होगा, आप कन्वर्ट हो जाए, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. So this is what, of course, you can say it because in the secular lines you can say that this is normal, but back then it was not normal. It seemed as the thing was pushed by the Christian missionaries. The social and religious sentiments of many Indians were also affected by social and humanitarian measures which government had taken during the period. To mention some of them were the social and humanitarian. Like we can say the sati. Sati was abolished in 1829 under Regulation 17. Then we had Widow Remarriage Act. (1856). This was under Dalhousie. So Sati was under Lord William Bentinck. Lord William Bentinck के अंदर हुआ था. So and then we went for women education. Mutiny College came up and many things. Suddenly the entire society is changing, and this was what people did not like. People don't like sudden changes. And to add on to that, earlier the armies, what was happening earlier was that the army could wear their symbol, their religious symbols. Army could wear their religious symbols. इसको दाढ़ी रखता है, yes, can put it. किसी का कुछ symbol है, symbolic है, कोई amulet लगाते हैं, कोई कहीं shield लगाते हैं अपने religion को दिखाने के लिए, तो they could do it. But now this was stopped. Army, जैसे आज का army है, it is made like that. You cannot display your religious affiliations in your army. Army will be uniform. No one will be showing any religious affiliations. All will be like brothers. सब एक होगा यहाँ पे. And people suddenly, like, if you go and pinch a person in the religious line, people don't like it. To add on to that, there was a rifle called Brown Bass, and this has changed to Enfield. Now this is the thing. Brown Bass and Enfield. These were guns. What was happening was that in the Enfield, the cartridge or the bullets, we can say, the bullets had to be bitten, so काटना होता था, and these bullets had cow and pig fat. Cow हो गया हराम हिंदुओं के लिए, pig हो गया हराम मुसलमानों के लिए, और ये हो गया प्रॉब्लम. अब दोनों के लिए जब हराम हो गया तो दोनों यूनाइट हो गए, हिंदूज एंड मुस्लिम्स यूनाइटेड, कि भाई तुमको सुअर खाने दे, हम उसको गाय का बीफ चबी खिलाइए लोग. एंड दिस वाज द इमीडिएट रीजन, दिस इज द पेनाल्टी, दिस इज द अल्टीमेट एंड इमीडिएट रीजन कि क्यों इन्होंने रिवॉल्ट किया. मतलब हद होता है हर चीज़ का, सब कुछ मानते आ रहे हैं, अब तुम जोर ज़बरदस्ती तुम खिलाओगे, वो खिलाओगे जब हमको खाना नहीं है. एंड दे रिवॉल्टेड. Moreover, the last one was the British Parliament passed an act, and this was called General Service Enlistment Act. इसमें क्या होता था, if you had to sign, जब जैसे आपको नौकरी मिलेगा, whenever you get a job, you have to sign that whenever necessary you would be ready to cross the high seas. हाई सीज मतलब सागर. जैसे कि आप इंडिया से सागर समुद्र से आप सऊदी अरब जा रहे हैं या अफ्रीका जा रहे हैं, केन्या जा रहे हैं, ऑस्ट्रेलिया जा रहे हैं. पहले नहीं जा रहे क्योंकि ये माना जाता था कि इफ यू गो ऑन हाई सीज आपका जात चला जाएगा, यू लूज योर कास्ट. एंड दिस वाज रिलीजियस सेंटिमेंट, पीपल डिडंट लाइक इट, एंड बिकॉज ऑफ दैट पीपल डिड नॉट वांट टू गो ऑन हाई सीज. अब ब्रिटिश को कहीं पे भी ले जाना होता था आर्मी तो उनको ज़मीन से ले जाना, जंगल से ले जाना होता था. This was specially faced by the Britishers in 1826 when they had to invade the northeastern states or Assam. उस टाइम में क्या हुआ, this Britishers like they had to invade here Bangladesh. So यहाँ तो पूरा घना जंगल होता था. They cannot enter here. And कोलकाता से जाना था तो they could have entered directly through sea, but they were not going through this. So the British Army had to go through this entire Assam terrain, the Meghalaya terrain, the Mizoram terrain. These are very dangerous terrains, but yes, they had to go for it. So finally, they got out this General Establishment Service and Enlistment Act. इसमें लिख दिया कि नौकरी करना है तो जहाँ बोलेंगे वही जाना होगा. सागर से जाना है, पाताल फाड़ के जाना, जहाँ से बोलेंगे वही से जाना होगा. ये जाने का टाइम में नहीं बाबू हम नहीं जाएंगे, ये सब नहीं चलेगा, लगा दो. This was they felt like it was a violation. So these were some of the reason for why the revolt happened. Now revolt के कारण पता चल गया, but this revolt was not successful. इस revolt को crush किया कि within a year and a half this revolt was crushed by the Britishers. Now इसमें limitations क्या थे? It was supposedly to be a very fine act of revolution or revolt in India, but eventually it faded away. The Indians lost. Why? Because there are some limitations. कुछ रह गया जिसके चलते नहीं हुआ. Let's talk about limitations क्या थे. First of all, it's localized. Always remember, this is localized. इसी एरिया में सीमित रह गया था. यूपी, दिल्ली, यूपी, बिहार का थोड़ा पार्ट एंड वेस्ट बंगाल का थोड़ा पार्ट. नीचे तो आया ही नहीं. सिख पंजाब ने ब्रिटिश को हेल्प किया. एक्चुअली व्हेन दे वर सपोज्ड टू टेक दिल्ली, ब्रिटिशर्स started two regiments. One regiment started for Punjab and another regiment started for Bengal to take up Delhi, and eventually they took out this entire area. So यहाँ से तो पंजाब ने हेल्प किया, not Punjab, the regiment that was there, and Bengal. नीचे इससे पहले वेल्लोर म्यूटिनी हुआ था, तो उसमें वो लोग हार गए थे. तो वेल्लोर ने बोला, साउथ ने बोला कि हम लोगों को लड़ाई नहीं करना है, ठीक है, बेफिजूल का लड़ाई होगा. हमने कर लिया था एक बार, भुगत चुके हैं, अभी अच्छा खासा चल रहा है, हम लोग उंगली नहीं करेंगे. तो इट इज लोकलाइज्ड. मतलब although the revolt covered wide regions of the northern, central and eastern India, but it did not spread to the southern India. Second, up moneylenders were the targets. मतलब मनी लैंडर को अटैक किया जा रहा था, क्योंकि ये मनी लैंडर है जो सपोर्ट करता था ब्रिटिशर्स को. तो तुम लोगों ने जहां से पैसा आ सब, देखिए, इफ यू हैव टू गो फॉर ए वॉर यू नीड मनी, फाइनेंस चाहिए. इलेक्शन के पहले टाइम पे पैसा चाहिए होता है, पॉलिटिकल फंडिंग होता है. तो एवरी द कंपनीज फंड द पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज. तो वही हो रहा है, मनी लेंडिंग. अब मनी लेंडर्स को मतलब अब the peasants started attacking the money lenders. अब जो जिसके पास पैसा है, जो तुमको बाद में हेल्प कर सकता है, तुमने उसी को अटैक कर दिया, गुस्से में आ गया, तो कहाँ से होगा? द जमींदार्स, द किंग्स, द नवाब्स वर स्केर्ड ऑफ ब्रिटिशर्स। ये और बात हो गई। जो नवाब्स थे, जो छोटे मोटे किंग थे प्रिंसेस स्टेट्स के, जो प्रिंसेस थे, दे वर स्केर्ड ब्रिटिश ईस्ट इंडिया कंपनी। डर लगता था इनको। दे डिडंट टेक पार्ट इन इट। देन द मिडिल क्लास एजुकेटेड इंडियन जो थे, they did not take part in it because the Britishers, उनके लिए क्या था, Britishers social and humanitarian ground में बहुत सारे अच्छे अच्छे काम कर रहे हैं। like सती को हटाया, widow remarriage कराया, women education के बारे में बात कर रहे हैं। so these are good things that are happening. so the middle class educated Indian, the sect of the people that were being represented by like Ishwachandra Bidyasagar or Raja Ram Mohan Reddy did not oppose the Britishers. And the most important thing was that, bhai, the thing is, this 1857, these are led by the sepoys, but majority of the people were fighting with peasants. अब तुम peasants versus British East India Company के regimented troops, रेजिमेंट ट्रूप्स का लड़ाई हो रहा है, ठीक है। अब इसके साथ 1853 में ब्रिटिश ने ऑलरेडी टेलीग्राफ लाइन बिछा दिया। दे हैड टेलीग्राफ लाइन, दे हैड रेलवेज, दे हैड मनी, जो चाहिए सब कुछ इनके पास था, ब्रिटिशर्स के था। जो थोड़ा बहुत मनी लेना था, तो मनी लेंडर थे बाहर, उसको मार धार के इन्होंने दुश्मन बना लिया था पेजेंट्स ने, जो रिवोल्यूशन कर रहे थे उन्होंने। तो दे डिड नॉट हैव व्हाट एडवांटेज द ब्रिटिश ईस्ट इंडिया कंपनी हैड, द पेजेंट्स और द रिवोल्यूशनरीज ऑफ 1857 डिड नॉट हैव इट। पैसा नहीं था, रेजिमेंट नहीं था, दे वर सिंपली फार्मर्स इन यूनिफॉर्म्स, कुछ नहीं थे इनके पास। ओनली थिंग दे हैड वाज द लाइफ दैट दे लॉस्ट, मेनी ऑफ देम लॉस्ट। ब्रिटिश इंडिया कंपनी वाज रेजिमेंटेड ट्रूप्स था, टेलीग्राफ था, रेलवे है, पैसा है, ऑर्गेनाइज्ड है, स्ट्रक्चर्ड है, ऑर्गेनाइज्ड एंड स्ट्रक्चर्ड। सो दिस वाज मेंट टू विन, जीतना उनका कंफर्म था। सो हियर we see, now today we have seen the reasons why the British East India Company had to face the revolt and the limitations of the revolutionaries as to why the British East India Company could suppress these revolutionaries. Causes and limitations. Today we'll wind up the class here. The next lecture we'll see about the impact of the revolution, the primary personalities who were involved in the revolution of 1857, and many such miscellaneous topics regarding this 1857 which might be asked in the prelims or in the mains examination. With that, today we come to the end of the class. Hope you like the class. Do like, share and subscribe to the channel, and let your friends also know. I'll be coming up with many other videos as such. For today, have a great day, and stay safe, stay indoor.